Vallabh Bhanshali, who's the founder and chairman of Enam Holdings, requires no further introduction. Vallabh bhai, thanks so much for taking the time.
Yes, sir. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
No, it's our pleasure entirely, sir. Your response, and let me contextualize this a little bit for our viewers. You've seen so much in markets and in this geopolitical tension that has not gone away. It's been bubbling and it's been under the surface and it keeps coming up. This response in the context of everything that you've seen over the last 3.5, 4 decades.
So India has had very interesting neighbors. So this is our, like a conflict. And we have had to deal with it. It is amazing to see that how China at some point of time chose a way to grow. How Bangladesh after independence chose to grow. And how Pakistan, unfortunately, got waylaid by its army, militants, etc. And this is something that, you have to live with a cantankerous cousin or a sibling is that kind of situation. And though they got defeated in 1965, in 1971, in 1999, they received very powerful responses to acts of terrorism, particularly in the last 10 years. The memory of 1948, where, we don't want to go back into that. Since you mentioned historical perspective, I'm just raising it. It does not elude them. And it suits them because by keeping some kind of attrition going, army is able to justify, militants are able to justify. And it's unfortunate. And therefore, until the people of Pakistan adopt, embrace, and, are ready to sacrifice to establish thriving democracy in their country, just see their own, East Pakistan, how much it has progressed. Today, its per capita income is on par with India or shade better, depending upon many other things, But how much has it progressed? But the people of Pakistan cannot see that. They've been so blinded by or so captivated by the army, etc., etc. And therefore, this is a reality that even if you do something, until the people come, we cannot ever be rest peaceful that Pakistan will not do something. Terrorism, attrition are a part of the statecraft. And even if you have, the apparently democratically elected prime ministers, they are not able to last in their office. So I think, it's like an endemic difficulty we got to accept and move on. And in that context, what we are seeing from the government, I think, I would like to give you a framework, 3 things. Our response is based on 3 things. Weaken Pakistan long term. Don't wage an expensive war, but give a fitting reply. And it takes time to, think of something which fits all 3, parameters. And they've done that. How many of us thought of water as a weapon? And, just the threat has created so much ruckus in Pakistan. So that's a brilliant response. So every time we have had to respond, we have responded brilliantly. And now also this. Because if Pakistan has nothing to say that you did it, there is no tact for something like this because we don't have terrorist camps. We are so focused target. We are not targeting innocents. We are very, very careful about all these things. And so we can only take pride in how we are responding, how we have very measured statecraft, how we are not affecting our growth, strategy. And what can be more brilliant? The same night that this is happening, we have the India-UK Trade Tech Pact, announced just a few hours before that. And so India largely is the story of growth and dealing with this nuisance from time to time in as intelligent manner as possible. I hope that we continue on this path. We cannot be negligent, but will have to be very measured as we have been in responding to unfortunate neighbor of ours.
Right. That's an interesting take, Vallabh bhai, Hiral on this side as well. India's growth story is absolutely intact. I mean, absolute precision when you say that. However, let's understand from you, because you've been in the markets, you've seen from, I think, the last 1964 war as well. After that, almost attacks, when you talk about the attack on the Indian Parliament, the blasts, the 26/11 attacks, your Pathankot, Uri, Pulwama, Balakot, and Pahalgam. If you have to correlate all of these to what's happened in the markets, how have you seen markets react, number one? And what would your advice be to investors who are seeing this for the first time?
See, primarily, it is an orientation of a person. We have seen so much happening around us in terms of promoters going a certain way or another way, depending upon their orientation, or their family splitting, and then you're seeing people with different orientation. So what matters is that those who are oriented to long-term wisdom and path of prudence, irrespective of what happens, they may have a parental loss, they may have a natural calamity visit them. They want to, dust off the difficulties, build hope, and get back to it. India is that country.
We're talking about the message that needs to go to investors at this point in time, for whom this kind of an event is absolutely fresh, who've not seen this, with your experience of the past events that you've looked at.
As I mentioned, that there will be war against us, and there will be war that we are waging against ourselves with, not well thought out policies or backward policies, control policies. So as long as we are following policies that will free our people, very broadly, I'm saying this, that free our people. We have the people that who are waiting for an opportunity. And second, we are giving support. First is freedom, second is support, and various kinds of support, whether it is financing, whether it is, market support. As long as you see that element grow, freedoms, financial support, market support, and government having itself the idea of, creating ease of doing business, which is kind of freedom, it is thinking right. Our long-term prospects will just keep improving. If we find that our governments are not doing something like that, then our demand and demographics are not enough. We need to add design and domination to demand and demographics. So any government can benefit from demand and demographics, but only a wise government will benefit from design and the desire to dominate. Prime Minister was talking about that, how, we are moving towards, progress. We are improving design, and one day it will lead to domination. He said, oh, we are not about domination. Not at this point of time, but in the commercial world, you have to dominate in a healthy manner. That you are large, but not to defeat others. India should always be, Vishwamitra, trying to help other countries rather than leaving them out, as is, being attempted by some big countries at this point in time. It is so sad.
Protectionism ultimately is going to be something that we're going to have to face as a nation and as a growing economic power, Vallabh. But in that context, what you mentioned about the FTA that was announced just a few hours before the strike, it becomes so important, right? And so many nations looking now to tie up with India. In your opinion, how does this pan out heading into the next decade? A lot of people have called this India's decade, India's century, but what form will that take? If you're talking about labor-intensive sectors like textile or leatherworks or footwear or even IT, what, according to you, are the ones to watch in this changing global dynamic?
So firstly, I don't believe in India decade, India century, etc. I believe in day at a time. Can we make it India's day every day? And given that, as long as, so this is a very, very important milestone that we have reached, that not one country can dictate to the world. People will have bilateral, trilateral interest, etc. And that's a message to the world. So we've given two messages in the last few months. We responded very responsibly and sedately to, even after being the first country to visit America and then, have parlays with the president there. Second, we have come up with this important pact. despite, this was in suspension for last 2.5 years. At the first attempt, the first opportunity, we worked hard and closed this. And it's a wonderful pact. I think it reads very, very well. And this is the way to go. You're absolutely right that India has now given a signal to the world that, you have to look after yourself, and it is possible. And therefore, this is, saying another thing, that protection cannot be practiced in a meaningful manner in today's world. We are too linked to each other. Uh, Exchanges is the way of life. Nothing works, right? We take oxygen and we let out carbon dioxide because something else lets out oxygen and wants carbon dioxide. This is the way of nature. People trying to act against it is not possible. And it's so wonderful to see that our country has not been daunted and is trying to navigate these short-term tough waters. And this is the way to go. I believe that many other pacts will follow. Many other pacts will follow. And I think this whole balkanization of trade that is happening in the world is also going to get pushed back by very important pact by two large countries, number 5 and number 6 economies of the world. So all our compliments to the government that negotiated this in such a tough atmosphere. I'm so happy and delighted.
Absolutely. Vallabh, as always, our absolute pleasure having you on the program. Thanks so much for taking the time.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.